So I got the infamous text that no one really wants to get. I was asked to the table today, and thank you for asking me, and I appreciate it. There's a lot of, I think we do this often. We come to the table, we do it every Sunday, and it's based on Jesus saying, "Hey, Last Supper, let's come together. This is in remembrance of me." And I think for me personally, I tend to focus on Jesus going to the cross, and then there's death in it, right? And we're thinking about the death, and we're thinking about, okay, he sacrificed himself for our sins so we can be forgiven. And something I don't think of often, something that just kept, I don't know why this happens, whatever it is, it keeps coming to you. And I was like, what about the life that is given through it? And I was talking to another brother here, and so I'm like, if Jesus could be one word for me, it would be life. Like the life that is actually brought once you know the difference. So for me, you look for life through the world, look for life through, if it's partying, if it's relationships, if it's whatever else, and it always comes up short every single time. So that was like, I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. So I have a couple notes because, and I don't want to be very religious here, so I don't know if I want to stand in front of it or not. I'm just going to stand over here and not be religious and not do it the same way it's always done. So I don't know if it's fitting or not, but this is what came to me. And I'm flipping through, and in Matthew, Jesus is talking, and he's talking about an evil spirit. So I'm just going to read it. It's Matthew 13, verse 43. It says, "When an evil spirit leaves a person, it goes into the desert, seeking rest, but finding none. Then it says, I will return to the person. And then, so it returns, it finds its former home empty, swept, and in order. Then the spirit finds 7 other spirits more evil than itself, and they all enter the person and live there. And so that person is worse off than before. That will be the experience of this evil generation." And this, I know this verse might not make sense, but in this case, I'm thinking of like in our everyday world, what do? We wake up, normally you reach for your phone to see what time it is, or you're doing something. We instantly get hit by distractions, hit by different things. And then we constantly, I know for me, I'm constantly trying to get rid of anything that's going to lead me and distract me and all of that. But the problem is, you get rid of it. So you get rid of every streaming service you have. You get rid of your phone. You get rid of every other distraction. If you're not filling it with the Spirit, if you're not filling it with life that only God can provide, then we're left empty again. And 2 days later, you're going to be worse off than you were before that. For me, I'm like, it's so difficult when you're going through and you're trying to manage life on your own, trying to clean up your act. And as a parent, you're trying to clean up your kids' act so they don't freak out, and you're not the parent that has, unruly kids. And you're always trying to fix our behaviors, but at the end of the day, it's not about behavior management. It's not about whether we're fixing and clearing up the garbage in our life. We're doing it on our own. It's not going to do anything. You're going to be worse off a couple days later. You're going to be worse off the next month. Like, we're not filling it and relying on the Spirit every day. And it's where, like, Pastor Linda, she's got talking about living in the Spirit. I don't understand it half the time at all. She talks about, dropping into the Spirit and living in the Spirit. I'm like, beyond me, it's beyond me. I don't know what that fully means, but I have a little taste of it each time when you climb to the top of a mountain and you see that little precipice, or you see something that your kids do that they actually listen, not to you, but to something that God touched through them. You have these little moments. I'm like, oh, that's the Spirit. Okay, gotcha. Or you have these little things that you didn't come across in my head. It's like, oh, that's the Spirit. So I think for today, it's not about remembering, okay, Jesus died. Yes, he did. He absolutely died. He sacrificed himself. That was so we can have life today, every day, life through the Spirit. It's not about like, okay, let's just, thank God. Okay, yeah, we're going through. God, yes, thank him. He's done everything for us. But you really sit back and think about it. Like, he did that so we can live, we can have life. And that just, it's been impactful for me. And I forget every day that we have life through God. And I have to remember that myself. So when we're coming to the table, it's like, it's not just, okay, let's take the bread, he broke his body for us, he shed his blood for us. He did those things so we can live. It's like, let's live the way he meant it. He created all of this for us. The world's dark. Yeah, it's all that. But he created the beauty so we can be reminded of it. And this is part of that beauty. So as we come to the table today, let's remember that it's not about just going through the motions. It's about living the way he wanted us to live through his Spirit. So I'm going to pray, and I'm going to bring us all here. So, Lord, I don't know if that all made sense, but you do. And I thank you that you can bring us together, and we're all here for a purpose. We're all here because we've been called by you, and you have a desire for us to worship you, to come to your table, to really get rid of ourselves in it, and know that you are in power. You are the one that will bring us all together. I thank you that we can live through you, and we can really rely on you in every way, in ways that I don't fully understand, but I hope to. And thank you that we can all come together today, and thank you that you shed your blood for us so we can live in you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Lord. We are on holy ground here. We are thankful as we sing those words. The most beautiful color in the entire universe is crimson red, because it reminds us of what you did and the blood that you shed for us, that you saw us, you saw into the future. You saw every person that is in this room, all of our shortfalls, everything that we've done. You took it all. You sacrificed all for us. So here we stand. We are in awe. All we can do is bow down and worship you. Every knee is going to bow, your word says. Every tongue will ultimately confess that you are indeed Lord. It may not look that way at the world around us. We look at the economy. We look at geopolitical issues. We look at wars, rumors of wars, famines, pestilence everywhere, Lord. You look on the world scene, but we know ultimately that you indeed are in control. We know how the story ends. We are in the middle of the story. We know how the story started, but we can't forget, as followers, how it ultimately ends. So we're in awe, Lord. We give it all to you. Not some, not 50%, not 75%. You want it all. May that be for us today. Amen.
Here, my hope is found. Here, on holy ground. Here I bow down. Here I bow down. Here, arms open wide. Here, oh Lord, you saved my life. Here I bow down. Here I bow down. Here, my hope is found. Here, on holy ground. Here I bow down. Here I bow down. Here, arms open wide. Here, you save my life. Here I bow down. Here I bow at the cross, at the cross. I surrender my life. I'm in awe of you. I'm in awe of you. Where your love ran red and my sin washed white. I owe to you. I owe to you, Lord. I owe all to you. I owe all to you, Jesus.
Thank you, worship team. How pleasant the aroma was this morning. Thank you. Teachers and kids now make their way out. Yeah, I was gonna. Welcome back to this guy right here. He's back in the house. Not the same without you, Mike. It's not the same when you're not here. Bless you. All right, kids all left. We got a good lesson over there today? You ready to kill it? All right. You'll find out if your kids are over there, whatever they're learning. Well, good morning. How many of you were here yesterday? I was listening online, flying solo with Megan not around. Megan is at the Buckley family weekend. You ever hear us talk about that crazy weekend? Is my mother-in-law here? My father-in-law, where are they here? No? All right. So my mother-in-law is still recovering. She's getting back to full strength. But that crazy family, for 50-something years, they have met at a little house in Shokan, New York, a house that should be just destroyed, right? I can speak freely. They're not here, right? It's amazing. They had to have they had issues with the waste, the septic system at the house yesterday. So Megan is sending me pictures of a company that had to come in. She's like, you have no idea. I'm like, yeah, I have no idea. I don't want to know, right? I've had my taste. It's amazing what they do, but it's incredible. You're either a star, you marry into the family, you're a star or you're a stripe, and it's quite intense. I remember the first time I was, no joke, Leslie, first time I'm there, and I'm in a volleyball game. Now, I'm an athlete, right? But I'm like new to the family. I don't know some of these people. So like, I'm not going to go all out, right? You got to go like kind of take it easy a little bit. And then I get yelled at by the captain of the team because I wasn't going hard enough at the game. Like, oh, you want me to go hard now? I'm going to spike on girls on the other I mean, it was crazy. That's the way the family is. Like the end of the weekend, it's like a big deal. Anyway, you don't really care about that. Yesterday, that was my original question. I asked you how many of you were here yesterday. Pastor Linda spoke. I thought it was great. I wasn't in the room, but I was listening online. How many of you had a chance to show up for that? So yeah, she's been doing that on a monthly basis. So we had that yesterday. And then last week was a Sunday where we stopped and we reflected on July 4th and what that means for us as Americans. And looking at some of our Christian heritage, things that you don't really hear a lot about in the news, you don't read a lot about online, but some of the facts, some of the things that have been omitted maybe from our story as Americans. We tied that into our spiritual heritage as Christians, and we are going to be back today in the book of Romans. We are in chapter 8. Now, the Bible study, you guys, you finished through, you went through chapter 8. Again, an amazing job by Ted and Naeem as they were, pressing through that book. Not an easy letter that Paul is writing to the Romans. The last thing we did 2 weeks ago in here on the book of Romans, we were in chapter 8. I'm taking my time. Did you do 2 weeks on Romans, like in the Bible study? You did 3? Yeah, so I'm doing 3. You could have done a lot more. I'm spending 3. I started the beginning of chapter 8 2 weeks ago, and we talked about receipts, shredding receipts, right? And I used the illustration of Noah in the beginning of the chapter. There is, no condemnation for those that are in Christ Jesus, and we talked about the receipts and the things that we carry around with us, the shame that we have, things that happened in the past, and we talked about shredding those. It's interesting, too, on a personal note, the amount of receipts that are just accumulating in the house. It just continues, no joke. I have there's a stack on the kitchen table as I was coming here today. I'm like, it's just endless. You see him in daycare, right? The boy carries them around. He knows when one is lost. Where's the Marshall's receipt? Where's the big Walmart receipt? Right? Meat Farms, took him to Meat Farms yesterday, lost the receipt last night before I put him to bed. I'm scouring, looking all over the house. God help everyone if we can't find that receipt. Wow. All right. So we are going to be in, before I get to the best part of chapter 8, we are going to I'm going to do a full sermon today. I'm going to start in verse 18. Let's see how far we can actually get. I am going to read chapter 8 in Romans, from 18, we did the first part 2 weeks ago. I'm going to go from 18 through 25. I'm going to read that. Then I'm going to exegete the text. We'll look at it. I'll look at draw out a couple of things that I think are very important, what God spoke to me about, and then we'll see where we end up. Sound good? Sound like a plan? All right, so you can look on the screens, or if you have your Bible, you have your phone, you want to look on the person next to you, whatever you need to do, let's jump into it. So this is what he says. He says, "For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creation eagerly waits for the revealing of the sons of God. For the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of him who subjected it in hope. Because the creation itself also will be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. Don't you think creation is pretty happy about that? The trees and everything that is out there that we see in nature, that it's ultimately going to be liberated too. There's freedom, not just for us, but all of creation is waiting. That's hard to imagine. For we know that the whole creation groans and labors with birth pangs. Ladies, you remember that? If you gave birth, you remember those days? Yeah, not too fondly. All right, labors with birth pangs together until now. Not only that, but we also, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves groan within ourselves, a lot of groaning in this passage, eagerly waiting for the adoption, the redemption of our body. Anybody get an amen to that? Yes, the redemption of your bodies. The older you get, right? Things just you wake up and you just don't feel that the way that you did when you were younger. Gets a little bit harder. For we were, if you're young, just give it a couple of years. For we were saved in this hope, but hope that is seen is not hope. For why does one still hope for what he sees? And then finally here at the bottom, but if we hope for what we do not see, we eagerly wait for it with perseverance. Likewise, the Spirit also helps in our weaknesses. For we do not know what we should pray for as we ought, but the Spirit himself makes intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered. Pastor Linda was talking about the Spirit yesterday. There was a question. I think it was Dave, you guys were going back and forth, and she commented on the Spirit there. And then the last verse, for now he who searches the hearts knows what the mind of the Spirit is, because he makes intercession for the saints according to the will of God. I could spend a month on this passage. We could spend a month. We could spend more than that. And that's just the way Romans is. There's so much there. But I must start with a question this morning. And here is my question. How many of you really enjoy math? Wow, really? Enjoy math? Pretty good at it. Yeah, Drew, pretty good at it? Hey, I know you're good at math. I know you're good at math. Anybody else in the house? Come on, you're really good at math. Really good at math. Like it's your strong point, right? Love it. All right, now notice that there are not a lot of people in the room that love math. There aren't, right? Most people, this is looking at some stats on this, 20 to 30% of students, right, suffer from math anxiety. That's a real thing, right? Math anxiety. I had it when I hated math, right, in school, and all the formulas and the equations. And did you always ask yourself, like, what's the relevance of any of this? Like, how am I ever going to use any of this in life? Some math, basic math, I get. Do you remember as parents, too, when they changed the way that you figure out, no, the answer is 4. No, Dad, you have to run through this whole process. That process is dumb. It makes no sense, right? Don't tell your teacher I said that, but that's, right? That's kind of the way it is. And then for adults, surveys say as high as 64% of American adults, 1 in 5, say they have severe math anxiety. Really? That's pretty high. It's pretty high. Did you ever see some of the memes? Like, I don't know, I'm just looking up memes on, some of the funny things that, we say, how about this one? Math, the only place where people buy 60 watermelons, and nobody knows why. I wonder why. Did you ever see that on those formulas? Tommy buys 60 watermelons. Where does Tommy live? What world is Tommy in? Nobody eats 60 watermelons, right? But they ask you those, right? I laughed when I saw this. Can I give you one more? It's a little more cornball, but I still think it's kind of funny, right? Dear algebra, please stop asking us to find your ex. She's never coming back, and don't ask why. Yeah! Come on, that was good. Oh, come on, give it up. Come on. I said it was a little cornball, but come on. Math. Gosh, I hate math. Now, why am I talking about math in church, and why am I giving some of you anxiety? I am because Paul starts this chapter out. It's kind of like he's giving us like an equation. He's in Rome. He's in prison. And here he is in shackles, and he's giving us a life equation. He's looking like a ledger of his life, and he's putting things in two columns. Now, this is, when you go to 18, right, just the beginning of here, when he says, "For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us." I underline this, and that first word there, logizomai, that's the word in Greek that we have for consider. It means to ponder. It literally means like you're solving like a math equation. This isn't something that like you just flippantly or like, hey, let me just kind of think about what the. No, this is like serious, intentional thought on a topic, on a subject. Paul is saying, listen, I have thought about this. I have run the numbers. The name of my sermon this morning is Running the Numbers, because Paul has said, I have run the mathematical numbers for life. And this is what I have, for I consider the sufferings of this present time, of what I'm going through, are not worthy to be compared to the glory that shall be revealed. Not worthy. So here it is. He gives us, I want you to see this. And this is the beauty of AI, that you can like help create a like image. This is what I want in the image. And I put up here, I just went through some of his sufferings. Just these are the things that Paul's went through. Go through it. He doesn't like list them all right here. He does in other places. We see what he has been through. But he is looking at it, and he's got in column A what he has been through. He has been shipwrecked 3 times. He has been stoned within inches of his life. He has been beaten with lashes, prison time, false accusations. I put church drama and just many lonely nights. I could have put other things too. He got bit by a viper. I mean, the list of things that Paul goes through as a Christ follower are insane. Okay? So this is on one side. So he's doing the math while he's in the prison. And he's talking about the present sufferings, and then he's comparing it. So you have column A, which seems very weighty, does it not? When you think about what he's been through, but then you look at column B, right? And you see, he's telling us the glory that's revealed in us is not worthy to be compared. What we've been through, the hardships, the adversity, the trials, the obstacles are not worthy to be compared to the glory that will ultimately be revealed in us. Wow, Paul, that's a lot. It's pretty weighty. The math doesn't make sense, though. Come on, really, honestly. Does the math make sense? How does this math make any sense? Can we be honest this morning? How many of us as Christians have done the math like this, and what you've been through and maybe what you're going through today, and you're like, how can what I'm going through, how can I compare this and say that the glory that's going to be revealed one day? I don't know, because what I can see with my own 2 eyes, with what I'm going through, it doesn't feel that way. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Certainly doesn't feel that way. But Paul is saying, listen, I got to tell you, you got to trust me. You need to trust me. It's true. When I'm looking at math and I'm adding all this up. He also tells us, look, in 1 Corinthians 4:17, another passage I absolutely love, and he's writing to the Corinthians, and he says, for our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, not what we see with our physical eyes, not the circumstances that are in front of us, not the problems that we have. He says, no, we fix our eyes on what is unseen, because what is seen is temporary. That which is unseen, oh, that is eternal. That will last forever. Can I give you a Charles Spurgeon quote? His nickname was the Prince of Preachers, one of my favorites. You know, kind of harder to read, mid-1800s, English preacher, very famous. This is what he said about this passage and talking about this topic overall. Spurgeon put it this way, I love this. He said, our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. The sufferings are light. The glory is heavy. The sufferings are momentary. The glory is eternal. And my favorite part, the one is a feather, the other is a mountain. The one is a drop, the other is an ocean. That's worth the price of admission today, right? Just to ruminate on this. think about what he is saying. Really? That what you're going through in your life, maybe physically what you're going through, maybe you're going through something with your marriage, maybe you're going through something with, I don't know, it could be a child, it could be an addiction, it could be anything, but Paul is telling us, and Spurgeon is telling us, one is a feather, that what you're going through and what you see, and the situation that you're in at work, that you hate, and the coworkers that you're with, and that, like, whatever, finances, whatever you have going on in life, one is a feather, and he says the other is a mountain. This is all temporary. You know, we always talk about the dot and the line, and the dot is here, and this represents our life, and then the line that goes through eternity, and your mind wants to just break and burst, because you're like, what do you mean eternity? I can't wrap my head around eternity. I have a hard enough time wrapping my head around a year, 5 years, 10 years. Eternity. He's saying here, the things that we're going through, the sufferings of this present world are not worthy to be compared to what will be revealed one day down the road. But not right now. Doesn't feel good. He's not minimizing. Paul isn't minimizing pain. Paul is not minimizing the suffering that you're going through. He is not saying, man, you just need to suck it up. You need to try harder. Nope, that is not what he's saying. And even Spurgeon. How about Spurgeon? Can I talk a little bit about him? Can I just mention? It's always good. I always tell you, if you're a Christian, for me, the only reason that, well, one of the reasons I'll say that I've been able to stand behind a pulpit, and Pastor Linda could talk for herself, but for me, to stand behind a pulpit for, 25 years doing this, I don't know, somewhere in that range, and again, I never thought I'd be doing this, right? I know how unqualified I am to stand at a pulpit and preach to humans, right? No, really, seriously. Like, you just, every week, I'm always like, how am I, like, really? I'm the guy that's doing this? How did this happen, right? What was my point? I was going to say something. Wow, you guys are listening. All right, okay. So, what? It's also, Naeem said it's also on the screen. Good point. Yeah. For me, one of the reasons that I've been able to actually stand behind the pulpit, and if I could just go, I wasn't planning on saying it, but one of the reasons is only because I sit at the feet of people that went before us, right? A lot of my heroes are dead heroes, dead, people that lived, and you learn when you read, biographies. You learn when you read their stories, and you learn what they went through, and I read about other preachers, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you went through that too? Wow. This guy Spurgeon, who was one of the greatest, preachers that the world has ever seen, physically, he had serious gout. You guys know what gout, very painful. He'd be bedridden for weeks, even sometimes months. He had depression. They called it melancholy back then in the 1800s, so bad that he would be bedridden by that too. This is a guy who was a preacher. You read his stuff and you're like, oh, like the quote I gave you, and you're like, wow, this is a guy, he called it the black fog, right? He was suicidal at times. Talks about this. But he was a great preacher. How could you have those? How could you have the mental health issues? Or how could you be so depressed? Part of it, part of the calling. Right? There are times you wake up on Monday, you're a preacher. I'm just being, not like you care, but I'm telling you anyway. You're my therapist today, right? Well, you wake up on a Monday morning and it's just hard to get out of bed. It's hard to get out of bed because you just get hit, the voices. Why did you say that? Sunday nights are the worst nights of the week for a preacher. No, it's just part of it. I'm just like kind of used to it. Here we go, right? And you hear the lies and you learn like anything else, but you hear the lies. Why did you say that? Why didn't you say that? Man, oh, you look like an idiot. Why'd you tell that story? These are the things, it's part of it, right? So for Spurgeon, back to Spurgeon, not me, but back to Spurgeon, there was an event, it was 1856, a few years before the Civil War will break out. He is at an event with 10,000 people. He's in London, and he's preaching. Somebody in the crowd, 10,000 people in a very small, confined area, somebody yelled fire. There is pandemonium. People start trying to run to get out of the building. 7 people would be trampled and killed. He was so distraught by it, he had to be carried out from the event. All friends, family, people that knew him well said he never got over that for the rest of his days of his life. Lost a grandchild in a very tragic manner. I mean, this is just one example because I gave the quote, and I'm like, people should hear, right? That guy that gave that quote is somebody that went through hell. Sometimes you have to go through hell, right? To know God in that way. And the older I get, when I meet people that haven't been through hell in some way, shape, or form in life, I don't know if I can really relate to you. I can relate. It doesn't have to be the same situation or circumstance, but what have you been through in life where you had to really trust God and you know God in a new way because of what you had to go through? When you looked at the two columns and on the left, you have a list of things that you went through. I can relate to people that went through stuff and you had to find God in a real way through hell and going through a situation you never thought you'd be in. That's when I know it's real. That happened to Spurgeon. No stranger to sorrow. Now, look at this. Again, I'm going back to 18. Please understand what I'm saying here. Paul is balancing the books. Column A is real. Column A that I put up the picture before, but column B wins. Column A is very real. Every situation that we go through and every situation he has been through. But look at the second part. I'm only on one verse, by the way, y'all. It's only the first verse, okay? So the end of the first verse there, when it says there, to be revealed, it literally means in Greek, it literally means the uncovering of something. Something deep and something profound has been uncovered. Something that was hidden has been now revealed, like, oh my gosh, wow. For the first time, I can really see what is happening. Wow, that is amazing. I want to give an illustration and use this, and I just got one as I was speaking, and I don't even know. That usually doesn't happen. I just got an illustration about something. What? You want to say something? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. No, it's okay. You can interrupt me. No, it's good. Go ahead, say it.
So James preaching this message, and last night, I don't know if anybody watched the big fight that didn't happen. No, okay. So if you're laughing, yes. So Conor McGregor, probably the biggest UFC fighter ever as far as promotion. He's been off for 5 years, huge fight. Everybody's like anticipating it. He comes out, he throws a kick, blows out his whole ACL. The other fighter like stops and goes to the ref like he's done. And Conor's like, no, let me keep fighting. Gets up, just collapses again. 5 years. 5 years. He's like, this is a big fight. And you saw it. Like, he's just devastated. You saw him like leave. He's just miserable. And I have to read it because it just aligns with everything James is saying. The talk of me being off for a while, walking in was nonsense. I was calm, I was ready, I was confident. I'm in shock what took place tonight. The devil is literally staring me right in front of my face right here. I am not engaging. I'll be in church tomorrow. I will overcome this. I will not be deterred. I will return.
Wow. He's deluded, but I mean, guys, dude, you're not going to return. You're already old before this. Wow. Do you see him like walking? I was actually, this is weird you're bringing this up. First time in my life I watched a UFC fight last night. First time in my life I'm watching you. So I watched him walk in. He had the sunglasses on and he's just like the swagger and he's got like the suit on. He walks in and they're all like that, right? The machismo, just how tough these guys are. But that's interesting. No, that's a pretty good quote. Don't think you can interrupt me like that every time and ask for the microphone. Let me just throw that out there, okay? We have a relationship, right? There was a trust factor, right? I trusted Jamal with the microphone just then. All right, now anyway, back to this, because that was tethered to what we're talking about here. But I love that the second part, it says that with the glory that which shall be revealed in us. So again, it's an uncovering. That which was hidden is going to be uncovered. I was thinking and this is what just hit me. I don't know, why did it just hit me as I'm up here? I don't know. There used to be a TV show, the Undercover, like CEO or Undercover something. Remember that TV show? Undercover Boss, there it is. Thank you. You can tell him, yeah, right. So Undercover Boss, right at the end, like the person doesn't know, oh my God, you were the boss, you were the CEO the whole time, right? You're like, wow. Think about like that. But here's the illustration I want to give you. And I'm going to, again, not the easiest book to preach through, trying to give illustrations to make things like, and the life application here. How many of you ever heard of a movie it's one of my all-time favorite movies, and I bet Naeem is going to say yes, but not many of you are going to even like the movie Pleasantville. How many of you ever saw the movie Pleasantville? To me, it's one of the greatest movies ever made. It got, it was an acclaimed movie back in the day, but I don't think people really appreciate it. Did you, right? It's a pretty amazing movie, right? Naeem, I knew it. I knew Naeem would be my guy, that I could trust him. So if you don't know anything about the movie, there are two teenagers, what's his name? Tobey Maguire, the guy that played Spider-Man, and Reese Witherspoon, and they're in like the modern day, and it's like 1990s, like late 90s when the movie was actually made, and they're sucked into this sitcom, this world that they call Pleasantville, and everything is in black and white, and everything is perfect. Right? Now, by perfect, I mean like they're from this world where it's broken, and they're like, what? Like, so they go into this world, everybody's nice to each other. Nobody says anything bad. The weather, they show you the weather on TV. It's going to be 80 degrees today. It's going to be 80 degrees the rest of the week. It's not a cloud in the sky. They show you like the basketball team, and they all like shoot, and every shot goes in. They win every game. They don't like every part of the town. There's no issues. Nobody gets angry. Everybody just gets along. Pleasantville. Everything is absolutely perfect, right? But these two individuals, they bring, and Don Knotts is like the guy that he gives them, like comes to their house and gives them like a TV remote. And he's like, you needed me? And they're like, we didn't call you, whatever. And they start using the remote, and they get sucked into this world, and their names even get changed. It's like Bud and, I don't know, Betty Sue or Becky Sue, whatever the heck it is. Like these 1950s names. Have you ever seen the show like Leave It to Beaver or something like Father Knows Best? That's the kind of like show that they're sucked into. But the world that they're brought into, they begin to introduce things. Everything is in black and white. So here's just like a picture. On the left-hand side, you see them. The whole world that they have in Pleasantville is all black and white. There's no color, right? So everything is in the black and white there. And what's interesting, they introduce into this world, they introduce art. They introduce books. They introduce everything, love, joy, anger, like you name it, emotions. All this stuff gets introduced into the world, and then you slowly start to see color emerge. But color emerges when people start to move out of this static world that they're in, and they experience passion maybe in something. Some woman is painting a mural, and then she, boom, it turns into color. All these different scenes where people like are doing things. One of my favorite scenes in the movie, and this is great, like the world these people know. Reese Witherspoon is in class. They take you to a high school classroom environment. And she's like, I have a question. Goes to the teacher. Teacher's like, yeah, what's your question? She goes, hey, what's outside of Pleasantville? And then every kid in the class, like you see them, boom, like their heads like go back. Like, what do you mean? And the teacher goes, oh, Betty Sue, you're so silly. It's the end of Main Street. And she's like, the end of Main Street? Like, they don't know anything outside of like this world that they've been in. Nothing else exists. It's just this, where everything is perfect. It's kind of like here. We're in Pleasantville, right? No. Right? But what's interesting about that is I love this as an illustration because it's an uncovering. To me, it's a picture of what the Apostle Paul is talking about here as things are ultimately revealed for who they are. Can I tell you this? The person that you're sitting next to, do you have any idea how glorious the person is that you're sitting next to? You have any idea? No, you don't. You don't. Listen, this is what C.S. Lewis said. Or even not, forget the person next to you. The person that maybe you work with or somebody, maybe it's a difficult parent. It could be a coworker. You have never met an ordinary person according to C.S. Lewis. You've never met an ordinary person. This is what Lewis said in I would say, the greatest piece of literature I have ever read outside of the Bible. I'm giving it high praise. You know, I like to read The Weight of Glory by C.S. Lewis. The greatest thing that has ever been written to me as a Christian is The Weight of Glory. How many of you have read it? Okay, not many. All right. This is what he says in there. It's not very long either, but it's worth your time. All right, he said, it is a serious thing to live in a society of possible gods and goddesses, to remember that the dullest and most uninteresting person you talk to may one day be a creature which if you saw it now, you would strongly be tempted to worship. If the veil was taken off and it was revealed, it's in black and white. That's why I use Pleasantville, it's black and white. But if the veil was taken off, it would be revealed for how that person truly is. How glorious they are. Amazing to me. There are no ordinary people. You have never talked to a mere mortal. Wow. It's wild. So I think of this all the time. I'm at the gym or anywhere I go. I try to keep this in the back of my mind. There are no ordinary people. Everybody looks different. People act different, but nobody is ordinary. If the veil was taken off and we truly, do you know what? There will be a day ultimately that we will see people for who they truly are, that we will ultimately see the glory of God. We have the life of Christ living on the inside of us, but there is coming a day, according to Paul, where the veil is going to be ripped off and we're truly going to see who people are. Wow. I want that day. I can't wait to see that. Anybody else, you're excited about that? You don't look excited. Now, here's the next thing that when Paul says, for the earnest expectation, all right, the earnest expectation of the creation eagerly waits for the revealing of the sons of God. We have to kind of pause here. This is something else, just it really caught me. This is not just, like literally just waiting for something. Like I'm waiting, I'm in a doctor's office and you kind of sit there, right? And you just like, you're waiting, when is my appointment? Anybody get annoyed too? How come doctors are the only people that can make you wait that long? Where else in the world can they make you, oh, seriously, everywhere you go, right? I want to bill you for my time now, right? Oh yeah, I'm sorry, they're a little slow today. Speed it up, let's go, come on, right? It's true. This is not just waiting for something patiently. Can I tell you what this word literally means? This means somebody has full attention. They are literally, in Greek, this would be somebody is on their tippy toes, their neck is craned, and they are fully aware and focused on what is coming down the road. Have you ever been so engrossed in something that you're watching, you're waiting, that you're not on your phone, right? Or you're just like, you're totally in the moment and you're anticipating, you're waiting for that. There's no better illustration of that than right now, where we are on the world stage, than the World Cup. World Cup. I don't know, it hit me. I'm like, I'm up last night watching Argentina play soccer. I'm at 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, are they going to win the game? And it's fixed, right? They have to be in the finals. Am I allowed to talk about that in church? Give you a conspiracy theory? They won their last two games. It's amazing how the refs, and I want them to win, but I have to admit, I'm like, you beat Egypt, you really shouldn't have. The refs helped you, and then you win last night. Some guy got a red card. Anyway, how rabid are the fans? This is a picture, and we stink, by the way, U.S. That was the worst game I've ever seen in my life. How many of you watched us play? And Belgium's not very good. Let's talk about it. Can we just dissect the game for the rest of us? Forget the sermon. Do you want to just dissect the U.S. soccer performance in the last game? Really? We made them look like superstars. And they just kept scoring. I'm like, this is pathetic. Awful. What? Oh, that's a different story. Yeah, Mets, Jets. Hey, the Knicks won. Come on, right? Let's put the brakes on. Jets are coming though in a couple of weeks, right? Hey, they're 0-0. Everybody's 0-0 right now. There's hope right now. There's a lot of hope. They're going to the Super Bowl. I can't believe it. They're going to the Super Bowl this year. They're going to be better than you think, though. They will. Keith, right? They're going to be better. Ted, they're going to be better than we think. I'm the only one that has faith. Mike, the Bible says if we have faith as tiny as a mustard seed, that it will grow into as big. All right. Anyway, but I thought this picture was so captivating. Just look at their faces. This is the picture of what Paul is saying as they're eagerly awaiting for something. That's what this is. Do you see any phones around right there? No. I see human beings that are solely focused on a soccer game, on a ball that they hope gets kicked into the back of a net, and they win. I mean, some of the stories are incredible. Some of these people crying in the stands that their team lost. The nationalism, just the pride and devotion that people have in their country. To me, there is no greater picture of this, of what the Apostle Paul is saying, than the World Cup. That's the image you need to see of what he's saying here when it says, for the earnest expectation of the creation, eagerly waiting for the revealing of the sons of God. That means that creation outside, all of creation is waiting for this to happen. They're creation on its tippy toes, looking, right? Neck craned. When is it going to happen, God? When is this going to take place? Paul is laying it all out for us. It's not just us. It's all of creation. What a picture to look at, right? And then you move ahead into 20 and 21, for the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of him who subjected it in hope, because the creation itself also will be delivered from the bondage of corruption. We're not just going to get delivered. All of creation will ultimately be liberated. And everything we see. Are you with me? We see everything, when it's all the earthquakes, and you see famines over here, and you see tornadoes, and you see hurricanes. We see all these different events, things that are taking shape, right? That's not how the story is going to end, and creation is waiting. Creation is groaning. Creation wants to be liberated too, on its tippy toes, looking forward to the day that it will ultimately be redeemed. And then he goes on, right? I want you to see this quote just about, I was thinking, one of my favorite authors too is Jonathan Edwards. He was part of the First Great Awakening. I mentioned his name last week, and so, his Puritan prose is a bit choppy. But if you want to read somebody that knew God, read Jonathan Edwards. I mentioned the most famous sermon ever preached in American history is Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. I mentioned that last week. He is the author of that. He talks about heaven like nobody else I've ever read. Anybody. I've never read somebody that puts heaven in the perspective that he does of what is ahead for us. And this guy lived in the 1700s. It's amazing, right? With a new heavens and a new earth, Revelation 21 talks about that there will be, right, a new heaven and a new earth, right? We see that in chapter 21. With a new heavens and a new earth, there will be undoubtedly new colors, new combinations, new hues, new depths of radiance, together with new faculties of mind, sense, and spirit to apprehend new disclosures of God's infinite splendor. Oh my gosh, of what's coming. John Piper, another author, you probably heard that name before. He wrote one of my other favorite books I've ever read. It's called The Pleasures of God. And in his book, he talks about that what we see in creation. Take the most beautiful place that you've ever been. I don't know if you've been to Europe or the Caribbean. I don't know. Go wherever your mind takes you. He says all of what we see in this world right here is the backside of God's glory. I love that. Love the way he phrases that. It's the backside. This is nothing compared to what we are ultimately going to see one day. And creation, as beautiful as it is, as beautiful as the sky looks today, as beautiful as the trees look, as beautiful as the mountains look, as beautiful as the oceans look, it pales in comparison to what they will ultimately look like one day when they are liberated and there's a new heavens and there's a new earth for us to ultimately see. Tommy, you can come up. I'm starting to wind down. I'm starting to land this plane, and people are excited about that. And then I want to go back to this because I think it's important. I want to go back to this last connection. This is the math of creation's ledger. This is a ledger. Right? This is the math. Like Paul has given us his kingdom calculations. He has done all the math. We started talking about math and I'm ending talking about math. And he says it all here. He talked about we talked about the sufferings, but the glory, again, I have to remind you, the glory revealed in us is not even worthy to be compared to what God is ultimately going to do in us. And don't Don't be fooled, because the passage also talked about here about the groaning. The groanings that take place. And I asked you before, ladies, right, to have a child, you bring a child into this world. What do you have to, there is pain that childbirth brings. The groanings, right? That's tough. I'll never forget when Megan, and I'm just giving my story, and all of you men in here have your own story. Ladies, your stories are much worse than ours, right? Obviously, we don't know what it's like to give birth. Never wanted them. Thankful that God chose women and not males, right, for that to happen. Men, can I get an amen? Thank you. Okay. I'll never forget when I had a video camera at the time when I was in the hospital, and Megan had some choice words for me when the video camera was on. I'm not saying anything, but she had some, I was like, oh, I haven't really seen that side of you. That was interesting. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna put the video camera away, like right away. I'm not pulling that thing out anytime soon. But the labor, the contractions, right? They are a sign that something amazing is coming. The pain, I'm here to tell you this morning, whatever suffering that you're going through, whatever suffering that you've been through is not worthy. I am not minimizing the pain. I'm not minimizing the anguish. Maybe that is part of it. But I'm here to tell you, ultimately, there is coming a day, even if you don't see it on this side, where the glory that will ultimately be revealed and what God is doing in the situation, even if you don't see it here. Don't get caught up with what you can see. What you can see is temporal. Focus on what you can't see, which is eternal. Paul says, focus on what is happening down the road. Focus on the redemption that is taking place. Focus on what God is ultimately doing, and trust the Creator. Trust the Master in the midst of the mess. Trust Him. Whatever it is, whatever you're going through. Because I know if I took the microphone and I passed it around this room, a lot of you would have you're going through stuff right now. Could be in your marriage, could be in your finances, it could be in your health, right? I don't know what it is, but I'm here to tell you, there is one that is with you in the fire, right? Like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are in the fire. There's a fourth man that's in the furnace. He's with you in the midst of the fire. But I'm here to also tell you, don't get caught up with what you think the story is saying right now and how it's defined. There are more chapters, and I can tell you this, that the epilogue or the end of the story, the last chapter in the story, is God revealing and redeeming everything that you have been through. Maybe you're lonely right now. Maybe you lost somebody. I don't know. I don't know what your situation is. All I know is that Paul is telling us in this passage, and he told us when he's talking to the Corinthians, the sufferings of this present world are not worthy to be compared with the glory that will ultimately be revealed in us. These afflictions that you're going through, they are light and they are momentary. Don't get caught up with what you can see. Because the hardest thing for us as Christians is we walk out the door and we see all the chaos that is happening in the world. Trump bombs Iran. What are you doing? The Strait of Hormuz is closed. It's open. It's closed. There's going to be conflict till the end of time. That's not a statement about Trump, but I'm just saying whatever president is, whatever is happening, there is no Republican, there is no Democrat that is going to fix the situation that we have in this world. Do you realize that? Yeah, I didn't always think that. I'm being totally honest with you. But I don't care who you put in the White House. Nobody in the Oval Office is going to fix the problems. There is only one king that is going to. That doesn't mean we don't pray. Hey. That does not mean that we don't pray for whomever is in the White House. It doesn't mean that we don't pray for our leaders, whether they're Republicans or they're Democrats. They're all train wrecks. They're all train wrecks. All of them. You should clap for that. You didn't clap for that. That's the best thing I said all day. You shouldn't clap for that. Come on, why are you clapping? I'm criticizing all of our politicians. No, really. I don't know. At times I have been deceived to really think, honestly, that maybe that person is really going to make a difference. And then you're like, nope. And our national debt just keeps running away. There it is. It's going to be like 40 trillion in November when the midterm elections happen. There it is, 40 trillion. Just keep kicking our debt down the road. Keep kicking it down the road. Gosh. I could go on and on. But you see the state of the world around us? Come on, you see the state of the world around us? Right? What? It's horrible, but there's a lot of good that's happening. It's the wheat and the tares, both at the same time. There's a lot of pain, there's death, but there is life. And I think if we look at other places too, that's why I love to look at other continents, look at other places on the globe. Look what God's doing in places in Africa. Look what God's doing in Asia. Look what God's doing, the underground churches, in Iran, or you go to even North Korea. You go to places, China, what God is doing. Don't get caught up with what we see here just in America. We're in a bubble. We're in Pleasantville. We as Americans live in Pleasantville, and it's not good. We are too comfortable. We're way too comfortable here in America. The best thing that can happen to us as Christians is that we face adversity and trials and tribulations, because in the midst of those, that's how God moves and that's how God works. But I want to live on the mountaintop. Woo! I don't want to go through any of that stuff. No. Light and momentary afflictions. Paul's like, he added it up. And the math, when he did the numbers, and he's looking at the books, he said, man, none of that doesn't matter. Lord, I pray for every heart in this room. I pray for all of us together collectively, that we would really get this on the inside, that we would really understand that you are working, and that the whatever problems and situations that we face, that you have them under control, that your word says you neither slumber nor sleep. So I pray that every one of us in here tonight can go to bed and get a full 7-8 hours sleep. That's what they tell you to get. Get a full amount of sleep to know that you are in control of all the situations, that you have everything under control. If you neither slumber nor sleep, I'm going to go to sleep because I know that you have everything under control. Lord, that we wouldn't look at our situations and our problems on the left side of the column, and we would be so focused on them. And woe is me, why is this happening to me? But we would trust that ultimately there's going to be amazing glory that is going to be revealed from all of that one day, and we may not see it on this side of the glass, but on the other side, when we do get there, we will ultimately see it. Help us also to see the people that maybe we don't like, the people that are hard. Maybe it's a family member, y'all. Is there somebody in your family that's really difficult? If you don't know who it is, it's you, right? Is there somebody that's really hard to deal with and you really struggle? I go back to the Lewis quote. Go back to, hey, see them how God sees them. Like every single person, we would be like in awe if the covering was really taken off from what Paul is talking about. Come back next week. I'm going to finish up the best part of Romans 8, right? Talk about, I'm going to hit it in a different way, but come back next week. I'm excited to finish up chapter 8. Long journey for us as we go through the book of Romans, for these guys too, as they did the Bible study. All right, have a great week. We will see you next Sunday. Enjoy this beautiful day.